Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. Reminder, guys, as always, that there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys. It is good to be back with you, starting a new week after a long weekend. The boys got together. Unfortunately, I was not able to be a part of that, but it is all good. Because I'm hopefully going to see a few of you in a few weeks anyway. But welcome to Market Check, guys. I'm Snorlax. You also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Tucker and Louie Tuesday. And what a day to have Louie on. But it is Tuesday as we start our week. We are starting it off, unfortunately, with a little bit of red across the board. Primarily, I think you can attribute that to what we are seeing in equity markets, right? Where Nvidia is down over 7% on the daily candle. Wow, that's pretty gnarly sell on Nvidia. And the VIX is finally starting to backfill a little bit of that liquidity that it set after, we spiked to 65 at the beginning of August. So, and that was something that we expected, right? Eventually, the VIX would backfill some liquidity. But what are the implications of that? Is it going to just continue higher? My personal bias is probably not, at least not as aggressively as, the wick that we set at 65. But these are things that we are going to discuss on today's show, of course. But before we can do that, before we can start talking about equity markets, volatility, I know that's everybody's favorite subject, but more importantly, how that impacts our coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and of course, altcoins. I'm going to need you guys to smash that like button. And I know that you guys can do that because we are coming off of a holiday weekend. I'm hopeful that you guys are nice, rested, vibing, and in good spirits after a long weekend away from markets. Or, if you're like me, you probably weren't completely away from markets, always checking on prices and whatnot. But welcome, guys. Welcome. If you can smash that like button for us, we would be very, very appreciative. But yeah, guys, otherwise, let's go ahead and get into the charts because we are seeing a bit more Monday volatility than perhaps we have been accustomed to. Although we have seen quite a bit of, I would say, lower time frame and mid time frame volatility in the wake of the wipeout that we had at the beginning of August. So this isn't completely surprising, in my opinion, that we are seeing a little bit of movement across the board. Obviously, like I said, Nvidia is down over 7% on the day. Bitcoin and ETH are only down about 2 or 3% at the moment. But I really think that's more so a product of what we're seeing in equity markets. And of course, the correlations that we often have, to boomer markets. But I do think as long as Bitcoin and ETH can carve out some higher lows here, their market structure remains intact. However, I think if you lose 56K on Bitcoin, on ETH, I would say that level's probably more like 2,300. It's a little bit sketchier on ETH, but specifically Bitcoin at 56K, I think has the potential to form that higher low not for all markets, but for Bitcoin specifically. And of course, all crypto markets would follow suit, specifically altcoins, which are bleeding today a little bit, unsurprisingly. I mean, it's not exactly the equity footprint where altcoins are thriving, but it's only Monday. Wait, what am I saying? It's only Tuesday, but it is our first trading day of the week. So we do have at least 3 or 4 more sessions where a pretty substantial amount of volatility can still occur in either direction. So I'd love to get y'all's thoughts on the market. Love to know how your weekend was, Louie and Tucker. I know you two were hanging out and golfing. But how are you guys doing? And what are we seeing in the markets this morning, as well as, kind of how do we expect these next few weeks? And of course, it's a seasonality in September is kind of a meme at this point, but maybe it's not. What are our thoughts on all of that?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. Yeah, the September seasonality, it is kind of a meme at this point, but it does indeed play out every year, meme or not, right? So, we do have some events, right? We've got economic data this week. We've got a rate cut in 2 weeks. So I will be the 25-year-old technical analyzer and say that volatility is incoming. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had a great weekend, man. We were up in Minnesota smoking cigars and playing golf with Louis Max and the Dirty Dev Ed. Um, yeah, no, we had a great weekend. Tried to not look at price, but here we are back looking at price. I mean, just nothing, man. Nothing going on. Nothing great. I will agree that right that 2300 level you said for ETH is important. I think where I had a nice little naked weekly point of control somewhere. Well, there's obviously that one, but um, maybe it was a daily. Maybe it was a daily. Hang on. There's one right at 2300 somewhere in here. Either way, I mean, you could backfill a little bit more of the wick, but I think for me on ETH, as long as you're holding like this kind of region, you're okay. Would not really want to see it go too far below that. Kind of the same thing for Bitcoin. I'd say this whole candle though. I'd say let's see if we can get it. There we go. I'd say that, right? You lose that. You are a little bit cooked, but this is what I was looking at the other day was there's a naked weekly point of control right here on Bitcoin. This is how you know, by the way, that the market is just terrible is when you have to pull up these TPO charts. It's just unfortunate, but yeah, there is a naked weekly right at 54.5. So that could happen. That could happen. At this point, nothing would really shock me, but uh, yeah, that would kind of be the lowest I would allow it to go in the short term to remain somewhat intermediate term bullish, right? Like if we get below here, you know, it would just be a tough look. It's not my base case, but yeah, I don't know. I think here's what I'll say about seasonality, right? In like let's just look at it, and I've said this 1,000 times, but contextually relevant Septembers are halving years, are election years, right? 2020 minus 7%. 2016 it was green. Okay, so kind of a coin toss, right? Especially with rate cuts coming this month, kind of a coin toss. Are we going to front run easier monetary policy and pump, or do we think it's over and we, front run a Fed dump, right? Like, I think it really depends on whether the market prices in higher rate cuts, right? Like if they, attempt to start pricing in a 50 basis point cut, we're probably going to dump. If not, if it's just looking like it's going to be 25, I could see us pumping into that. And then, what happens after is up for debate. But we do have CZ coming back at the end of the month. Even though it might be a meme on Twitter, I think it will be relevant. I do.
I think it's going to be one of those things, Tucker, where people meme it like, oh, Bitcoin ETF, everybody knows that's coming. And then CZ starts bidding and everybody's going to realize there's actually something to that catalyst. I'm going to try not to mid curve that one.
Yeah, I agree. Also, this is something we did last week on Market Check, right? It was just looking at like the S&Ps. Oh my god, let me get rid of that. That looks terrible. Looking at the S&Ps downtrend break, pretty similar to what Total 3 looks like. And I was saying that you're probably somewhere in here, and that you like set a shallow higher low and do something like that, right? So if we were to do that, timing, funny enough, you would top right around the rate cut. You'd pump into the rate cut, top, pull back into the end of the month. CZ gets out right here, bang, Q4, here we go, right? So that could play just with the event confluence, I could see that happening, but we'll see. We'll see. The dump, I had this like mapped out, and then this dump happened in like a day, and I was not expecting it to happen that quickly at all. But yeah, that's kind of my preliminary thoughts. But what do you think here, Louis?
Just the same old playbook. It's the holiday 3-day weekend. Everyone sits there and stares at price all weekend, getting liquidated instead of enjoying themselves. And then, the actual day, the Monday, stock market's closed and we saw a pump, right? And I keep saying this in the Discord as well. Like, I mean, granted, this move is obviously a market-wide movement, but if we were just in a vacuum here, Legacy is not going to get left behind on a weekend pump, and they get retraced either fully or 3/4 of the way normally, and that's exactly what we're seeing on Bitcoin. We're literally retracing basically any pump that we did yesterday. At least at the moment, we retraced it about 3/4 of the way here. I don't see much more damage being had here. Low time frame, we're in a range. We're basically right around that range low. As you can see on that chart there, we're right around the lows. So if we start heading any lower, we start losing our low time frame market structure, and we could start seeing lower prices. We do have some liquidity below around 55.5, macro range lows around 56.5. So it's only like $1,000 or $2,000 below us where we could see, maybe that's where they're trying to bring price, but we'll see. But like I just said, this is a market wide dump at the moment. VIX is pumping; it's up 20% at the moment, like Tommy mentioned. And I was actually looking back at the VIX price action, and you see on these big spikes, it gets usually rejected like it did, but you also see, like dead cat pounces along the way. You know what I mean? It's not just going to go straight down. If you go back to previous pumps there, Tuck, you could see, yeah, like look how many big pumps you had on the way down, like on that last COVID VIX spike. You know what I mean? So that's what we could be seeing there, just a bounce in a downtrend, and the market's gonna react accordingly to that. So we just gotta wait and see. S&P, Nasdaq all have some gaps directly below, not too far off from filling those, about 1% or 2 if we even get down there. But they've been straight up from the lows. Yeah, you can see that daily gap there on the S&P. But we also have that market structure right there above it, so we could hold there or we can fill that daily gap there. But sadly, equity market goes up, Bitcoin goes sideways to down, equity markets go down, crypto goes down. We just get double fucked. So.
Well, we joked about it before. It's like the Nasdaq or Nvidia is the Nasdaq, at least if you look at the market structure, and the Nasdaq is more or less the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
So we have to pay attention to it for that reason. But I'm still in the camp that Q4 is going to be very bullish, just for a myriad of reasons, right? I mean, we have liquidity tailwinds obviously coming in here over the next few months. A lot of that is politically driven. You have post-election flows coming in as well, and those will, especially take effect Q1 of next year. So I still think that that's on the horizon for the markets. It's just really kind of still about what happens in between, right? Like what happens the summer months, what happens with September seasonality. I mean, I think that whatever happens between now and October, it's probably going to set the stage for a massive rally to end the year. It's just a question of where are we trading when that does occur. But I'm in the camp with you, Louis. I don't really know if I think that. Oh man, I said it again, didn't I? Somebody just me out on the comment. I'm at camp, guys. I'm at summer camp. But
he's always in camp.
No, I really do think that Q4 is going to be bullish, right? But I mean, obviously, we do have a few things before that happens that are kind of in the way, more or less, before that can get underway. So, yeah, that's the camp that I am in. is that we could probably still see turbulence really into the end of the month. And then once that's over, Q4 does have some majorly positive tailwinds for liquidity and as a byproduct of that, the market.
So are you in the September bearish camp?
I mean, I would say yes. Yes, just because looking at NVIDIA being what I think is forming a lower high over the last 2 weeks. And then also when I look at ETH, it looks like it's been, ETH has been in a downtrend for effectively 6 or 7 months now. So it's difficult for me to see an uptrend in the immediate term as long as those two things are kind of holding true. But what I will say is that I think the VIX does not look nearly as constructive as it did in equity markets off that first high that topped NVIDIA, right? Like the VIX could pump and backfill some of the move that we had into 65, but I also don't really think it's a chart that looks like it's going to make new highs anytime soon either. Like maybe we backfill some form of complacency shoulder. I mean, hell, maybe it's topping today. I'm not really trading the VIX at the moment, but I do think, when you look at the VIX structure, it does not look like it's about to go make a higher high. It looks like it's going to form a complacency shoulder, backfill some liquidity, and then eventually sell off again. So what does that mean for equities? Well, I can't be that bearish on equity markets heading into Q4 when I don't think the VIX really looks that bullish. And not nearly as bullish as it did in July when we're kind of doing like this slow grinding uptrend with higher low after higher low. Before an eventual blow off. It looks more to me like what we're seeing now is kind of a reflexive move higher from volatility in the wake of obviously a move that we had into 65. But I don't know what that means for the VIX either, right? Like we could be topping here. We could be topping more at like 30 to 40 because it was such a extreme tail move on the VIX just a few weeks ago that we did leave a lot of liquidity and gaps, of course, above us that we might go fill. But I would not say that looks like a chart that is about to go make higher highs imminently, man. That looks pretty cooked to me.
Now, do you think there's like a specific reason why the VIX is up 18% on the day, or is just like you said, it's just backfilling? Like, has there been any like, has anyone saw anything or reasoning behind these moves this morning, or?
Dollar hit support, VIX hit deep value, or bull hit deep value. And then I think last week you had NVIDIA potentially put in that complacency shoulder that we were discussing. So like last Friday, I think it was kind of weird because you had NVIDIA down almost 5 or 6%, might have been Thursday, but yeah, 5 or 6% on the day. But at the same time, the VIX is also red. You're just kind of wondering, okay, which one of these is probably lying? And you're going to see it play out this week. And now we're kind of finding out which one that is. But it is also, and I want to reiterate this as well, it's only the 3rd day of the month.
That's true. That's true. We got a lot of time left in September. I think, man, this statement right here, like, I feel like this is sentiment right here, man. Like this is, everybody is in this camp. Like, it's not just you guys either. I'll tell you what. Yeah, we're feeling it, man. Imagine your job being to get on here and talk about, hold on, guys. Talk about this for the last 6 months, okay? Just granular detail, talk about this for 6 months, man. Tell you what, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired.
That's like, it really looks like an extreme coiling of price. Like what do the Bollinger Bands look like on that?
They
I feel
are
like
tight, brother.
They've got to be tight.
They are indeed tight. Hang on, let's see. I don't use them that
like
often.
Consistent coiling of price.
Let me make this look better.
Yeah, put some back shade in there or something.
Let's do this.
Or that works. Yeah, there you go.
Let me study.
Not as tight as I thought, though.
Yeah.
Go to like the 6 hour or like the 4 hour or something like that, or even the weekly. Yeah, go up and then. I mean, we're at the weekly Bollinger low, kind of. That's the 3-day. Kind of already bouncing off the low.
That's actually kind of nice confluence with that naked weekly point of control. And down here, like if you do this, reclaim that, I don't hate that. But yeah, you're coiled up here. I mean, the last couple times I can remember where it was like that dead was like obviously here. It was not fun to trade. And then down here, but even like mentally, I remember this, like this was terrible. This was terrible. Summer 2021. That was not fun. This, but not as much, This was like, post COVID, but
Yeah,
just terrible,
those
man.
look like cakewalks compared to what we've been experiencing.
I know.
Jack was saying it in the Discord call this morning, but like this has to be one of the most difficult sentiment and price action time periods from a crypto standpoint, probably almost all time. So if you are struggling here, to make it in this space, don't be too down on yourself. I've seen like I can count more on two of my hands, like how many OG like people in crypto who are supposed to be like professionals and know what they're doing completely blow up, like just tap out. Like not many people can handle this. It's just been tough. It's been a tough environment. So, don't get too down on yourself. And then from this, we will, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But you just got to survive until then. But, I've been around since 2018 and I haven't experienced any price action like this for this long a period of time. So
for me, it's not even about like how sideways it's going. I think it's just kind of the way that it's kind of occurred, right? Like we've had, it kind of trades in a way. If you trade lower time frame on Bitcoin and ETH, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it kind of trades in a way where it's almost impossible to take leverage positions unless one of two things, right? Like you either snipe the entry, the Pico entry, where you're willing to endure a little bit of drawdown. But as we've also seen within this range, every time that positioning has gotten kind of too skewed to one side, I mean, they turn the screws on them and they turn them hard. Like you think you have a short on a complacency shoulder and then they run it back up to the high. You think you have a nice long on a sweep and then they sweep it again. So on a higher time frame, not really much opportunity to trade it other than a range, but most people have been looking explicitly for breakout and breakdown trades for the broader part of 5 or 6 months. So I think for that reason specifically, that is why it has been so awful to trade. And on a lower time frame, it goes without saying. I mean, if you're trading on a lower time frame, you already know how painful it is to be touching perps, especially in the wake of the wipeout that we had a few weeks ago, where price can move. And I'm just going to use ETH as an example here, like 50 to 150 points within an hourly candle. And you might have thought you had a great entry. Like New York session has had all these fake outs really throughout this entire range, but especially over the last few weeks. They've loved to do the playbook of, 50 to 100 points in one direction. And I'm going to use ETH as an example just because it's easier for me to, I'll be able to say those numbers more quickly. But yeah, 50 to 100 points around New York Open. You're like, yeah, I got a great trade. And then you round trip it. Or if you, God forbid, you short it into the hole, you long the top, you get wrecked. So it's been the type of price action that's really meant to break down participants, not just like their P&Ls, but also mentally. It's been a very difficult market to trade. And that's true for traders as well as spot holders, even though there has been, when you look at the range, it doesn't really look like a low volatility range on Bitcoin and ETH. Like there's been a lot of movement and a lot of it's so over, we're so back. And I think that's just kind of part of it. But I still think Bitcoin looks way better than ETH. ETH to me does need a lot of help. Claim 3,000, 3,200. Otherwise, it still looks very much like it's in a high time frame downtrend. And I mean, you quite simply just have to break that downtrend for altcoins to be able to see, the massive pumps that could potentially be in store for them this cycle.
Yeah. And there's just no signal at New York Open either, right? Like they just dump it every day and then we'll rally at like 4 p.m. and then Asia will decide and then they'll just do it all over again. It's just a complete nightmare. We're so at camp. Yeah.
Summer's over.
Yeah. Summer is over. Yeah.
ETH needs a stimmy check.
Yes.
ETH does, man.
Unemployment.
ETH does. It's tough too because you can't this specific price action you can't go fractal it, right? Like it's not really comparable to pretty much anything we've seen unless you want to say oh, that's a downtrend boom, right? But
it's ugly, man. It's ugly. It doesn't look natural. It does not look natural. Look like natural price action to me. But we got the ETF. Like everyone wanted institutions, everyone wanted BlackRock and all the big boys. Well, here they are, chopping us to bits.
They are shorting bull.
Yeah.
They are shorting. The institutional bull shorters have arrived, unfortunately, to our precious crypto coins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is something that we truly hate to see. You know what else does not look natural at all is the Solana chart. Somebody is fighting with their life to keep that thing above $120. One of the most high time frame ranges you'll ever see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't like that look at all.
Yeah,
that
that's
looks like
true.
It should have fell a while ago and it didn't. So now it's gonna fall. It's gonna fall hard.
Clearly, they're just your normie support right there.
Yeah,
but
it's got to hold. That's ugly.
Some rumors that Pantera has real estate loans embedded in Solana DeFi. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Oh, it's fucked.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it does.
It's fucked.
That sounds not the use case we should be doing.
That's is that like a descending triangle? I don't know what that is. I don't know. Like none of this price action looks normal to me anymore. It's all weird. Yeah,
we're all keeping it over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really look at the Sol chart because, to be honest, I don't hold any Sol, believe it or not. I never liked Sol. Never trusted those guys. Never trusted those cucumber eating.
Never trusted those guys.
Cucumber eating guys that were part of that. And,
Sam is in prison and he's still much richer than me because he's holding a fat bag of this.
I know. I mean, I would be way wealthier if I did buy Sol. Like Sol was staring at me at the face at $20.
Because Sam is in from right here, man.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't. I mean, I guess if you look back and look at that weird price action we saw before the big rally on Sol, that's the only thing I can compare that to.
What do we think of this chart, boys? This is important.
I don't have a clue what to think about this
chart. What is that? This is not. You want to talk about inorganic price action?
It's kind of the Bitcoin chart, more or less, with the buy gap that you see, but it is a lot uglier for sure. I feel like you could draw a dinosaur on that chart somehow, some way, like a Stegosaurus.
Yeah, you could.
What makes someone saying Sol is amazing? You're lost. What makes it so amazing? Every time I try to use it, I have to try at least 10 to 15 times just to get a transaction through. I don't understand what's so amazing about it other than it's cheap, but does it work?
I think shit.
This is the alpha.
I think shitcoining on Sol is amazing, but
Tommy, this is the alpha you can't get on any other channel right here. Study that.
What is that?
That's a Stegosaurus, Tommy. That's what you said.
Wait, dinosaurs?
Man.
I mean, obviously it's not real because it's a dinosaur, but
Those are fighting words, man. Dinosaurs were my childhood favorite. You know how like
Tommy,
boys
no.
boys pick like 2 or 3 things and base their entire personality off of it until they hit like 8 or 9 years old. For me, it was dinosaurs. So dinosaurs are real, man. I won't listen to any speak otherwise.
I'll send you some videos, Tommy. I'll send you some videos.
Study fossil fuels.
Study fossil fuels.
My fave dinosaur is probably the Mosasaurus, man. The aquatic dinosaurs are so big. That's like the big predator dinosaur at the sea, man. Those things are sick.
Oh, like the one in Jurassic Park, like the big one that just comes up.
Yes, there's an even bigger. The Plesiosaurus was actually even bigger than the Mosasaurus. That one would probably be my favorite, but most people don't know about that one.
Few understand. Ooh, that might be juicy. Yeah, that might be juicy down here.
Tucker, what does the CZ SPF index look like?
It's a good question. CZ SPF, okay. Whoa, all right, hold up.
And I will say I love Sol for shitcoining, but I think in totality, like what has Sol created this cycle for the space other than just overt scams and value extraction, which you can argue a lot of other things fit that mold on ETH, right? But I think there's at least the perception that innovation is occurring. Like what innovation is actually occurring on Solana other than meme coins, which I love, by the way. I love trading meme coins, but I also don't think that that's, they've been meme coins have been very value extracted to the space over the last few months. Specifically on Pump.Fun, I saw over the weekend that the total revenue that Pump.Fun has earned crossed 9 figures this weekend, which is honestly insane to think about how much volume has been done on meme coins that basically have all gone to zero.
Yeah. Well, now that ETH has base, like I don't see that argument anymore. Like
I like this.
Has basically solved that problem with speed and fees. It's extremely easy to use.
All right, guys. All right. Enough depression. Okay.
Hey, I'm in a good mood.
How would you trade this price action? That's the question. That's what this guy is asking. Okay. Yeah, that's real. You trade it with options. You hedge with options. Spot and options, guys. That's yeah. How would, if I was like what? Like a Euro scalper? Okay. If I was a Euro scalper, I would look for that. I'm just gonna be honest. I would look for that. Okay. If I was a Euro scalper, which I'm not. At least for Bitcoin, right? Let's look at ETH real quick. I think it's pretty much the same thing. You don't have one down there on ETH. I mean, short term, you use these order blocks as your invalidation, right? And if you're bullish, that's what I would do. For me, I know where we're going. Okay, go mark out U.S. presidential elections on your Bitcoin chart and tell me where we're going. And I'm just gonna keep bidding beta because it's gonna go up a lot, in my opinion. So that's really as hard as I'm going to think about it because I do not have the bandwidth to Euroscalp right now. It's just not going to happen,
I don't even have the bandwidth to Euroscalp right
now. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? Imagine Euroscalping this. Like, I'm just unwilling to do that. So I think bidding good beta.
Like if you're on perps, it seems like everybody is trying to catch the Pico bottom or the Pico top before an intense 30 to 40% candle. And it's like, why are you, if you've been trying to do that for the last 5 or 6 months, you're probably zeroed out, quite frankly. You're you're best off at this point, in my opinion, just waiting for and confirmation is such a meme, but like on a higher time frame, at this point, we have a 5 or 6 month range on Bitcoin. It might even be longer than that. I'm not sure, but yeah, like you might as well wait for confirmation above or below the range, like truly. Although people, I guess, who waited for confirmation below the range on the last dump kind of got wrecked. But I would assume if you're breaking that low again, it's not a fake. Like it's not a fake out at that point. Just as I would say, if you're breaking above the highs, it's probably not going to be a fake out. Like if you're a perps trader and you're looking for, if you're like a lower time frame scalper, I think that's different. There's plenty of opportunity every day. If you're skilled enough to capitalize on it, sure, go for it. But it's very difficult out there. I know very, very few Euro scalpers who are actually making money trading lower time frames right now. But on a higher time frame, if you're looking for like swings on perps or explicitly like directional leverage trades, you're probably best waiting for confirmation, because when you break out from a 5 or 6 month range, that's a huge break of compression. It's unlikely that directionality is going to get faded.
I know the problem is, people were like, oh, confirmation, we're breaking down. You know what I mean? The breakout, right? And they just
both sides are getting wrecked. Both sides are getting wrecked. The market makers are just taking everyone's lunch money, and it's going to continue to happen until we pick a direction. But, as far as timeline goes, they're running out of time. I know Jackus was saying that too. Like, we only have so much more time, whether it's either this is it or we're going to continue to cycle like we've done every other market cycle for the past 12 years, so they could do this on a low time frame, because it's true. It's crazy. Like where do people keep getting this money from to long the bottom, try to long the bottom on leverage? It's as if like once everyone stops trying to long the bottom on leverage, then we'll probably go up with the least amount of participants kind of catching that move. And it's just crazy to me how we're not there yet. Like how there's still, like, every time we get a round trip, how many millions of dollars in liquidations there are. It's like, where is this money coming from?
Yeah.
If you want the real alpha for when it will be time to trend aggressively to the upside, you're going to look for two things and this is derivatives, not price action, not market structure, because both those have been kind of, like, as Tucker has mapped out, it's been very misleading for both sides throughout this range. Like you're gonna want to look for deribit bidding, a huge spike in their open interest. Funding will go negative at first, and then funding will go positive, specifically because you have deribit and options market makers bidding a ton of calls aggressively, both short and long dated. And then you'll also have the Coinbase premium. That's not Michael Saylor, because every Coinbase the last few months has been Michael Saylor or Mara, I think, in the case of like 2 weeks ago. But deribit, Coinbase premium, those are the things that you want to look for, because they have marked the beginning of every uptrend that we have had since the 2022 bottom. Or just abnormal Bitfinex flow, which I don't think we've seen yet. We definitely saw it in 2023 at 25K though. If you want to know what abnormal flow looks like, study the derivatives data and look at the Bitfinex flow. I think it was from May to August or May to October of 2023. There was a massive increase in Bitfinex OI that they did. I think it was longs that they ended up closing into the ETF pump. So there are always signs.
What was the flow everybody's talking about on ETH BTC with Bitfinex that was supposedly bullish last week?
I was looking at it, man. You can get the longs chart on ETH right now, actually on TradingView.
ETH USD?
You got to type in longs.
Oh yeah. What is it? ETH
Longs?
Just
do longs.
Just longs.
Just do longs, and it'll pull up. Yeah, it'll have the option to do ETH USD longs. It's like it increased, but you zoom out, it's really not like, it really wasn't that big of a difference.
Okay, let's
Can you pull this up on terminal? We should do it on there.
You can't pull it up on terminal.
Can we? No, probably not. Not yet.
Should be able. Let me check. You probably can't get like this data from TradingView, but you can probably get the Bitfinex data.
So what's on the top there?
Let's see if we can.
Let me see.
Bitfinex ETH Longs.
So that's people taking out perp longs on ETH.
Yep. Yeah, one sec.
They've all just gotten wrecked.
You can get the Bitfinex OI on Bitcoin, so like we can see what the open interest look like on it in 2023 at the lows for reference.
On what? On terminal?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
See if you can pull it up. Yeah.
I think the terminal has spot instead of future, so maybe not.
I see. Okay.
More of the same.
I mean,
oh yeah, Bitfinex closed all their longs like at the top, of course.
ETH Foundation needs to be studied because they dump on every single local top. They just need to be studied because it's ridiculous how it just happens every time and no one even talks about it. It's kind of bullshit, actually.
I don't even hate the ETH Foundation, man. I can't even get mad at them. Like, it is the ultimate VC coin at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Or let me rephrase that. I think you can hate the ETH Foundation, but I don't hate Vitalik for what he's been saying about ETH lately, because he's absolutely right.
Well, I guess someone
We'll
needs to
have
have
to
money
write
to
here,
stop
though.
bottom, right? Yeah, how did that
Like,
happen?
what was this?
Into it, into the
They
pump, but not
closed
at the top.
all their longs into the pump.
Way too early.
Way too early, bro.
Could have been shorts too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Just OI, you're right. Yeah, it's just OI. I mean, what? Bottom. I don't even know. They just wiped a bunch of OI here.
Short squeeze.
It's kind of hard to derive signal from the ETH longs on Bitfinex, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I did see something yesterday where they said the Bitfinex whales were starting to buy up Bitcoin. I don't know too much about it, but I did
Well,
see something.
Tether, I think they purchase about like 15% of their quarterly profits go to buying spot Bitcoin for their reserves.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, this is crazy, right? Like this premium, right? Like up here, this accumulation or these longs or whatever was all just down here, right? And then they've been closing ever since. But wait, what? That's ETH. Hold
Yeah,
up.
you got to switch it to Bitcoin on the bottom.
We got to switch it to Bitcoin. Let's see. It is kind of interesting with the ETH chart too, though, but they've been building longs, brother. They've been building longs since April.
I mean, we still are in a
They're
high
building
time
open
frame
interest. We don't know.
reaccumulation pattern.
Well, I guess they are longs.
It's longs. It's longs. It's longs. Lie.
Longs are going up and price is going down. What do you think happens next?
I don't know.
Give you a real,
I don't know. I truly don't know.
Bitfinex
I mean,
is
it looks like
openly interested in Bitcoin.
accumulation, like
I just wish it was spot
that's true.
or open interest or anything but just long OI.
Well, what they could be doing is they might be selling spot and longing on perps with much cheaper cost of capital.
Yeah. Which is probably what I would do if I was them.
The Bitfinex, the ancient whales, man.
Yeah,
that
so
we
they're
know.
selling.
That's
That's
mysterious.
literally. Oh my god, that's Tommy. That is absolutely what they're doing. Okay, wait, hang on. Let me put that back on. Yeah, they just hit the long button. They sell spot to Larry Finkelstein, and there you go. This is the ancient whale to boomer distribution range. And I say distribution as a redistribution, right? As in, not that you have to nuke afterwards, but that the coins are literally being redistributed and not to retail. Like, I don't think retail, first of all, retail, aka even us, right? We are retail. We're not buying Bitcoin from ancient Bitfinex whales. Like, we're buying shit coins on whatever, right? I'm not on Pump Fund, but like retail is on Pump Fund. They're not buying
Have you been
ancient
on Pump
whale.
Fund before?
No, literally never.
It almost gave me like epilepsy, man.
Dude, I refuse to go on there.
No pump, no fun.
I did it one time for Chimp Phones coin, and then other than that, I haven't been on it.
Look at this. I'll tell you what happens next. Tucker bidding Boys Club with the super chat money. No, I don't even know where the super chat money is, man. I think it just is sitting somewhere. We literally haven't touched it ever.
Accumulate.
I'm pretty sure it's just sitting in like a YouTube thing. I don't even know. Anyway,
let's look at some other coins, though, boys.
Yeah.
I'd like to look a little bit at both memes and also the DeFi sector, because I've seen a few people mention Aave.
Yeah, let's look at Aave.
This is I have no idea what to make of this chart either, right? Like this should be reaccumulation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that this resolves like that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just working through a lot of supply. You know what I mean?
it almost looks like Chainlink did back in the day.
Yeah, it's you know, we had like on the daily, we had a daily breakout. The weekly still like needs to do some work, which is why we're kind of like still battling here. But you know, daily we had a daily breakout. Looks like we kind of came back, retested, you know, the local demand daily structure support. But you know, I mean, it's only as strong as, you know, the rest of the market. So it's trying to fight a battle uphill right now. But still one of the stronger looking alts, 100% is Aave, you know, or Aave, however you want to call it. But yeah, no,
Aave. That's the best.
Aave.
Aave, cappuccino. But yeah, I'm an Aave. I got a small little bag. We hit a nice 30% win. You know, we were accumulating around the $100 area. You know, nice pump. But, you know, it's retracing, but it can be a bullish throwback. So, I mean, as long as we're above that green zone there, I'm looking for a continuation to the upside. But the overall market has to play ball.
It really is this simple, man. It is this simple.
Yeah, it's got to get above that level. Yeah.
Okay. Bad. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. Price will
That's
move quick
simple.
in that green zone.
Yeah. As soon as you get through this little yellow area, you're gonna rip.
Yeah.
Tucker, what does that volume profile look historically?
What am I on Binance? It's probably good.
Yeah, well, all the volume's been done in the red box, so
yeah.
Yep.
That's
pretty
good.
much. And you're above all of it.
Yeah, like if this thing starts going, it's gonna pop.
This is support now. You can clearly say that all these little volume shelves are support for sure.
I actually watched the derivatives on Aave over the weekend because it had that random, like, massive pump and had like an hour, and I was wondering why it did that. But the derivatives on it, in hindsight, were very, very clean. So if you want an example of like what a good short squeeze looks like, I would tell you to backtest that Aave, backtest the Aave derivatives, because they had trap shorts that were buoying price higher, and then a little bit of a tiny spot bid was all it took to send that thing higher.
Yeah, it looks like it can come down to 116. That's what it's looking like to me. Like that pump we got
It's
yesterday is already
over. Look at that. It is over for that chart, bro.
What is that?
I know I inverted it. Tommy, I know
Wow.
you'd be shorting this to
Yes, I
0.
did. I like this coin. This is like one of the few coins that I think structurally looks really good.
It does.
Might
It
as
really
well. That's the thing. Like, this is the time, like in these shit markets, like you gotta just find coins like this. Like, even if you're not making like crazy gains, or either you're staying afloat or you're slightly up. You know what I mean? You're not bleeding to zero. Like, you gotta have these in your portfolio. And you say, oh no, but like I want to go buy something that's gonna 100x. Like, but okay, well then if you did that with all of your portfolio for the past 6 months, I guarantee you're close to zero at this point in time, unless you got lucky. Yeah, that doesn't look good.
Jeez. How does Ave look that good and Maker looks this bad?
It pumped a lot more. It pumped a lot more
It
than Ave.
did pump a lot more. It's really like Ave's like right here or something, right?
Yeah. But I mean, that could be a retest, of your base. That's a big breakout it had there.
Yeah.
You want to hold that base.
We were buying this right here last year. I remember that. And I remember Tommy was like, we're going to 6,000. I was like, no fucking way. Sorry. I shouldn't curse on here. I was like, no way. And we went to 4,000. Not bad.
Man, this coin.
I'd say
I can't
green.
believe it pumped as hard as it did. I mean, like I saw it, but I didn't actually have the conviction to be able to hold this one.
All right, we need
They
to stop.
renamed it, man. They
We need to
renamed it.
stop. We need to stop.
We
All
do need
right.
to stop. Louis right. I was looking at it. You guys better panic, because I'm coming to YouTube right now, and if it's not higher than when I looked the last time.
Wait, hang on. Let me look.
Any advice? Well, I'm gonna answer that question, but the likes gotta go up.
Man.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom
likes.
real quick.
We're lacking on the likes today.
Yeah. You better be better when I get back.
It's 132. It's not terrible, but that's pretty bad. Tommy, what would you say to this guy?
You're 18 and you're already in markets. You already, to some degree, understand cyclicality. You're way ahead of your peers. I would say recognize the importance and value of time and how much value there is in having like time in the market. Not to just say like, okay, hold garbage over time, but like markets will always be around and there's always going to be opportunity. So I think if you understand that, understand. I wish I understood that when I first got into markets, right? Like we're trying to make it as quickly as possible because we love crypto and that's kind of just the MO. But I think also there's also a flip side of that as well, where if you avoid that quick dopamine hit, sometimes like it's going to longevity in the market is very valuable. And I know everybody wants to make it very quickly, but if you're always looking for ways to like 10 and 20x your portfolio, and in doing so, you take risks, you'll set yourself back because you'll lose money. And it is harder you eventually have to make that money back, like regardless. So I'm kind of giving you like a word salad, but like respect the opportunity that comes with time in the market, or like time in markets. But at the same time, like you're 18. So I'm never going to tell anybody financial advice, but I am young, so I take risks in markets. And I think that when you are young is the time to be taking risks in markets, balancing the devil.
Oh no, he's rugging. I gotta screenshot his face real quick. There we go. Got him. Screenshotted you, Tommy.
Did I cut
You're
out?
good. You're back. You're back. Yeah, you cut out
Am I
just
back?
at the very end. At the very end. Oh no. Oh no. Tommy, that new Wi-Fi needs an upgrade. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just, if you're working a job, I know you're 18, so I'm sure you work to some degree. I know you probably, if you're a senior now, or you're going to college, it's harder to. But I'll tell you a story. 2018. I was fresh out of college. I literally learned about crypto finishing up my senior year, 2018. And I was working at my family business, but I really wasn't making much money. I mean, like an hourly wage. And basically from 2018 to 2020, I just worked my ass off in, real life job environment, which is very important. I feel like a lot of people, they get into markets and they just want to immediately just like work in markets full time or be a trader. Like having work experience and real life business experience goes tenfold. So I would say try to find a job, do whatever you can to make money on the side. And I literally shoveled almost every single dollar I had, into crypto with conviction, because if you actually know anything about the cycles, 2018 was basically straight down. It was a bear market, and that's when I got in. And I just worked, shoveled every single dollar I made into crypto, tried not to spend as much money. And then lo and behold, 2021 comes around. I had a couple $1,000, maybe around 10K or something like that, 10 to 12K, just saved up working an hourly job for those last couple years. And then 2021 happened, and I turned that into deep, pretty decent, like size 6-figure account, you know. And I was just, buying, DCAing, and holding with conviction. But you got to buy the right stuff. Back then there wasn't all these meme coins, like Doge and SHIB were like the only meme coins back then. But I was buying high cap crypto blue chips, and I did very well. I didn't 100x anything, but I hit some winners, and I turned a little money into a lot of money, just by working my ass off and just pushing everything away and having a longer term time horizon for my profits. And it worked out great for me, and it's put me in a great financial position I am in today. So that would be my advice: work your ass off, try to work any job you can, even if it's not a lot of money, and put that money to work. It's not doing anything sitting in your bank account, especially if you don't have any immediate expenses. Because once you get older, once you start to get to our age, you're going to have rent to pay. You're going to have a girlfriend or a wife. You're going to have babies, and those all cost money. So while you can, try to shovel as many dollars as you can smartly, into the market, and let it do the work for you. That would be my advice.
I would say study the boys club. That's I would say no, but for real, I would say find good, if we're talking less abstractly and more concretely about crypto, right? I'd say find some good beta that you like, that tracks well with ETH, that is basically levered ETH without liquidation prices or expirations like options, and shove it until total 3 tops out. Okay. For about 9 to 12 months from now. That would be honestly the best advice I could give anyone, is just shove beta and turn off your brain until it's clear that we've topped out. And that's really as simple as I have to make it, because I've been here for a minute. I've, played kind of the tail end of 2017, 2018, and then obviously all last cycle. But somebody, I can't remember who tweeted it. I think it was actually GCR who said this, right? But it was like, as the further you go along in the cycle, you should be, decreasing how far you go out on the risk curve rather than the opposite, right? You should be maximum risk in the beginning and slowly reduce that as you get towards where you think we're going to top out. So I think personally that we probably have another 9 months of this cycle, regardless of what we do in September. Maybe 6 to 12, anywhere in between 6 to 12 months left in the cycle. So I'm going to be pretty far on the risk curve until the end of the year, probably more so until like March, honestly. And and then slowly rotate up, right? Rotate up from lower market cap to higher market cap, start to scale out, and then slowly into cash as we get into late next year. So that's just how I'm seeing the market, though. Obviously, everything these guys said is right. You know, like you want money in the market, you are going to get massacred by inflation. I think if you just let it sit in your bank and take profits, take profits and turn them into real tangible things, right? Turn it into a better apartment or a house or a car, right? Don't just, if you just stack money in your bank account or just stack numbers on a screen in poop coins, then it doesn't matter, right? It literally doesn't matter. So whoever said it, it's not life-changing money until you change your life with it. That's real. That's very real. So just a few pointers if I could. Anyway, just looking at the comment.
Also become an astrology chick.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah. An astrology maxi.
What are we? Isn't it like something today?
It's
Tommy?
ridiculous, and it sounds even dumber when you really start to get it.
Oh no! Oh no!
God,
Pretty good
Tommy.
from it. All right, now, am I roboing again?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Did you see this comment, Tucker?
What? Which alts are chimp phone loading up on? That's a good question.
He posted a long setup for Popcat this morning, and I think it immediately hit the stop.
No, he didn't. Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious.
Oh well, it's over.
We're so back.
We're so back.
Oh man. But yeah, reducing risk as you go down or as you head into the end of the cycle. I think I read that in a Dr. Outlook memoir one time.
The Dr. Outlook memoir.
That's like the complete opposite of what like you want. You're like most people will do too. Like
yeah,
most people,
that's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Most people get riskier and riskier as you get closer to the top, and then it's just like once you top, it's so reflexive that you can hardly get out.
Yeah.
That's why the riskiest stuff is running at the end of the cycle, right? Like last cycle, you had NFTs, you had metaverse, literally land in the metaverse ripping, right? Like Sandbox, man. Not even just the tokens, the land within the metaverse was on a.
I was so close to buying a plot. I was so close.
I'm pretty sure I did. I bought a plot in not in Sandbox because it was like $20K for the smallest like plot, and I was like, that's dumb. But I bought a plot. In Mana. What was it? Decentraland. That's right.
A lot of people got wrecked on the way down in 2022 because of NFTs. and assets that were kind of branded similarly, because when liquidity dries up, the illiquid assets, the beta that was pumping really hard because it was so illiquid, has the same reflexivity on the way down. And there's just not as many.
Yeah.
It's harder to find a buyer, especially if you bought if you've ever bought an NFT with a specific trait. Unfortunately, I'm experiencing this right now. It's harder to find a buyer at the price you bought it for, at the price you want to sell it for, because there's just not as much liquidity present.
Yeah, and one more thing is you cannot bag hold altcoins or NFTs cycle to cycle. Like you can kind of do it with Bitcoin and ETH, and I really not even sold because it went to $8. So no, but
can't do it.
Like you can't do it. You literally cannot do it. Like long-term investing in crypto is like 2 years max, right? Like if you're in from last year and you hold until like Q2 of next year, that's like long-term investing, right? Like unless it's Bitcoin, you're just in from like 2016. That's different. But yeah, you cannot bag hold an altcoin from cycle to cycle. You just can't do it because then it'll end up being like this. Okay, it'll end up being like this, Okay, wow. Hold on. Let me get the moons off the chart.
Look at that moon top.
Look at that new moon respecting on a
This. This is what your altcoin will do if you try to. I'll just hold it for the next cycle. Oh yeah, will you? No, you'll capitulate it right here.
Oh yeah.
Or right here, and then it'll keep doing that, and then maybe if you're not even lucky, because you won't even be holding it anymore, it'll do that. So
I feel like this one will come back though. I don't know why. I feel like this one will come back. I don't know why.
Well, we use it.
Yeah.
Well, I use it all the time, but that's the thing. It doesn't mean that price has to go up, and that was the bearish argument that Zoo was giving for ETH, was like, just because you use it, it's the same thing with like Litecoin, right? It's like just because you use it does not, like, utility does not equal value at all. It just doesn't.
Also doesn't equal the market's perception of value.
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing. Like,
yes.
Crypto is unique in the sense that you can have coins with horrible utility, with literally zero utility, like meme coins, or I would argue the greatest utility of any financial instrument that you can find, like a Bitcoin, and yet you have these huge pricing inefficiencies up and down. Because I will say, literally study the theory of reflexivity. It's the reason why, because we have assets that will move in either direction. And what typically tends to happen is, okay, price is going parabolic, but price tops out. Expectations continue to go parabolic. And that's really where you get people trapped at the highs, is because that feedback loop makes you think that price is never going to stop going up. But price will stop going up, but expectations will not, and vice versa for when price goes down. I mean, think about when FTX blew up and went to zero. Some people thought, okay, crypto and Bitcoin might literally go to zero. But price went sideways at 14 to 15. I think it was like 15K, right? Or 16K.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 15. The same way with pretty much every asset. Like, study the difference between pricing and investor expectations. And I think you'll be able to identify tops and bottoms to a much more like reasonable degree.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. If anyone can tell me why we're going to break this, okay? If anyone can tell me why this isn't going to happen again, I would love to hear it, okay? I would love nothing more than to understand why this won't work again. Study the elections, okay? Study them. Is it any more difficult than this right here? All right. I don't think so. I really don't think so. It was never about the halving, man. It was never about the halving. It was about the U.S. presidential election. That's it. That's it. Because the incoming president will pump it, period, hands down. Okay. You had a year there. Okay. Depending on which top you want to take it to. I know the second one was about a year, but I'm just going to use the second one because this was all COVID money printing right here. You have a year. Okay. A little bit less than, actually. A little bit less than. 300. Let's take 20 off. 350 days. Let's say. October next year. Pico top. Brain off. Case closed. There it is. It's the only alpha you guys need. Okay. That's it. Tommy, do you agree that we're gonna the same thing is gonna play?
I do think we're gonna go up, man. I think the people who expect like a multi-month downtrend akin to 2008, I just don't see that. I really don't. Maybe I agree with Will's outlooks take that that's probably like 4 or 5 years down the line at least. but that doesn't mean that we couldn't have a deeper mid-cycle correction, which obviously we saw in 2020. And that's just kind of the, man, I almost said it again. That's the camp that I'm in. Shout out to Broke Fury in the comment section. But yeah, I don't really think, like, I know everybody's looking at the S&P fractals from 2000 to 2008 and they're like, okay, yeah, double top, we swept the high. This is where we go and make new lows in a multi-month downtrend. That's just not, I'm not in that camp, because we have an election coming up. And I think, and if somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but 2008, I want to say the election had already occurred. Actually, no, forget what I said. I don't really have any alpha with that, but I don't really think the situations are that comparable. Maybe we can talk about that like months down the line, but I just don't think that this market's in a position where it's going to go all the way back to the lows and then melt up based on like a multi-month downtrend. I don't think that this is like 2022 at all, or 2008, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm more in the camp that we see a mid-cycle correction, a buyback from things like Q4 flows, presidential election flows, and obviously Q1 of next year. We probably have a great 2025.
Yeah, I don't see how we don't have a great 2025. Yeah. It's simple. It's simple. It's easy to overcomplicate, but I really don't think it's that much of a head scratcher what happens next year.
Just gotta survive. Just gotta survive. It's a game of survival. And then once we break in, like once Bitcoin breaks into like price discovery, it's pretty much easy mode. You know what I mean? Like, not that it's like it's gonna be easy. You still gotta be good at what you're doing, but mostly everything will start to go up. Liquidity will come back in the crypto market, and everything will kind of catch a bid. Others will outperform. There'll be outperformers. There'll be laggards. You know, but you just gotta be able to survive and have liquidity and be ready to go until then. So do what you got to do now to get that, or find another way to get some cash flow. You know, beef up your bank account, do whatever you can, so when that time does come, you have capital to unload, or just be in the strong alts until that happens. Like Aave, like, yeah, it's a blue chip dino coin, but guess what? It's been kind of slowly grinding higher for the past couple months while everything else is continue to bleed. So at least that kind of preserves your capital and preserves your portfolio, you know. And then once like the market gets going, Aave will go up as well, not as much as other things, and then you can take your profits from Aave and whatever else you have, and then you start deploying into the outperformers. Really, all it is, you just got to and just stay up the low time frame. It's not worth it. You keep trying to catch the bottoms on low time frame like perp scalps, you're going to lose your money, man. I've been there. I've done it. This is not the environment you want to trade in. Perps trading is going to be actually a lot easier once we get a trending market. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a lot easier. But if you deplete all your capital before that comes, you're not going to have a good time. So just survive until 25. Not to say we can't go up from around this area. Like I've been saying, I think I said this on another show where like we're at range. We're basically at range lows for Bitcoin, right? So even if it takes another month for Bitcoin, a month or two for Bitcoin to get back into price discovery, to get back to all the old time highs, we're still like a 25% up move, to get back to range highs. So what do you think is going to happen to alts during that time? Like they're going to get dragged up by Bitcoin. So, that possibility is still there. So you just gotta be smart. Quit gambling.
I will say this cycle in particular has made me like such a Bitcoin bull over a high time frame, man. It's like not even funny.
Yep.
I remember in the past I was like, yeah, I'll diversify into Bitcoin, ETH, and maybe like a few other altcoins in a bear market. Now I'm like, I'm just gonna ape Bitcoin, and then I'm gonna distribute my Bitcoin into altcoins on the way up based on alt Bitcoin pairs. And then I'm going to hold some of the Bitcoin that I bought forever because I mean, I've timed the top before, but I'm not going to bank on, like, I want to hold Bitcoin as a hedge against, I mean, everything that Bitcoin is a hedge against, right? Like financial irresponsibility on the behalf of governments and also government tyranny. I think, I forgot who said it, but Bitcoin at its like purest form is kind of like a hedge or insurance against governments being fraudulent or being stupid. And they do those things a lot. So I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin over a multi-decade period. But yeah, I think this is a good spot to probably wrap the show up, guys. We've been running for about an hour and 15 minutes, unless we have anything else that we want to, any other charts that we want to potentially look at. I don't know if Louis or Tucker, you had anything on your mind this morning, but.
I'm good, brother. I'm good.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes today's show. A few things to wrap up before we officially close out the stream. I haven't checked the like button, by the way. So if they haven't hit the likes, I'm going to be a little disappointed. I would love to hit 200, though. We really should be hitting 200. All right, we're at 171. I know there are 29 of you out there that can hit the like button during my little outro. I'm gonna say a little prayer. But fortunately for you, I do yap for a few minutes before we officially end. A reminder, guys, we have launched our official hedge fund, our wealth management fund that is registered with the SEC. That is BB Wealth Management. We prioritize digital assets and obviously their asymmetric history for upside returns while also managing the downside risk posed in any financial markets. So becoming an accredited investor or LP is something that interests you. We do have more information linked in the description below this video, so make sure to check that out. Just shoot us an email. We will reach out to you as quickly as possible. Hopefully get on the phone and communicate a little bit more about what we do in a bit of granularity. Of course, we also have the BB Academy. And as I say every day, you guys have given us some phenomenal feedback, both in the comment section of YouTube, but also through DMs that you just reach out to us and say. So we appreciate you guys, for one, for providing that feedback. But the course itself is a tremendous value, right? I mean, how often can you learn from a myriad of different traders who, all trade very differently, right? I don't even, like, we've got a run.
You're rugging a little bit there, Tommy.
Oh, man. I think I need to get a new Wi-Fi box because my apartment's just bigger now. So it just has to cover more. But
yes.
Regardless, guys, BB Academy, you get to learn from a myriad of different traders and how they approach, analyze, and ultimately trade financial markets. So I truly think that part is invaluable and makes this course, I mean, for my money, the best that you can find. We also have the BB Terminal launching soon, guys. It launched last week for members of the Discord. They were able to get their hands on it, play around with it a little bit. Obviously, we are continuing to work out some of the kinks with the BB Terminal, but fear not, guys. The official public release is not too far away. We are so excited about where this product has gone, or where it has, how far it has come, and of course where years into it. I'm already using it pretty much every day myself. So looking forward to you guys being able to officially get your hands on that as well. So keep an eye on that. Of course, Market Check will be back tomorrow for another episode. We are typically live Monday through Friday, whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. So we were not live yesterday for Labor Day, but our typical start time is around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have my cat's messing around with my closet back there, but we also have Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi that is run through our Twitter account because Bitcoin. Make sure to tune in for that as well. The timing may vary a little bit, so make sure to stay following and subscribe to our Twitter account so you can be notified, not just when we go live, but also when we schedule those spaces. Thanks again, guys. Yeah, I have camp Wi-Fi today. I'll work on getting that fixed for you guys, but thank you as always again for tuning in to another edition of Market Check. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow, and until then, thank you all again and stay safe.